Who is after Cleophas Malala, former UDA Secretary General? I'm asking that question because a few hours this morning, Cleophas Malala, taking to his social media accounts, had this to say. Cleo Malala, my son and my 19-year-old brother-in-law were abducted at gunpoint. They were tortured for 6 hours to disclose my whereabouts, all that of my wife, and to show them the way to my residence in Kitengela. After failing to find me or my spouse at home, they dumped the two along Thika Road. I have picked them up safe, but traumatized and shaken. Who is after Cleophas Malala? Malala is saying that his son and his brother-in-law, a 19-year-old boy, were kidnapped and tortured. And they were forced to disclose the whereabouts of Malala and his wife. What's happening here, ladies and gentlemen? I want us to understand the truth behind this and exactly what's happening here. If you are watching us but you have not yet subscribed, subscribe, give the video a like. Let's proceed. There are two highly possible scenarios here. The first scenario, Malala and his team are clearly seeking sympathy. All this is stage managed to get sympathy. I don't think the police, Malala having served as UDA Secretary General, the police or the government does not know Malala's residences. As UDA Secretary General, it's almost likely that he used to host some government people in his residences. So if the government wanted Cleophas Malala, they could have known where to get him. I don't think the government can be that ignorant to a point they don't know Malala's residences. So this to me is coming out as a sympathy-seeking kind of a script. Malala is seeking sympathy, and this appears to be stage managed. That's the first thing coming out clearly. The second scenario, it might be true the government wanted to use this to intimidate and to silence Cleophas Malala. And then somebody might ask, why Malala and not these other leaders who have been vocal in attacking Ruto's government? Malala just started attacking Ruto recently. Why him and not all these other leaders who have been vocal attacking the government? The government is trying to isolate Rigathi Gachagua. And to isolate Rigathi Gachagua, the government has no problem with some leaders from the mountain supporting or attacking the government. But leaders who are not coming from the mountain, should they attempt to defend Rigathi or should they attempt to attack the government? Then they must be silenced. So there is an elaborate strategy in making sure Rigathi is isolated. He's portrayed as a village leader, someone who has not yet matured into a national leader, someone who does not have support apart from the mountain. That's also something I'm seeing here, ladies and gentlemen. So there are two most probable possibilities. The first possibility, this is stage managed to get sympathy. The second possibility, it might be true the government is trying to intimidate leaders who are not coming from the mountain. And if you look at all this, we can see clearly where it's heading to. Politicians will use all their arsenals to score some bonga points. The same Cleophas Malala now complaining when Kenyans were being tortured last year during demonstrations, and when Gen Zs were being killed this year during demonstrations, Malala was silent and even supporting the government. We even remember at a point, Malala also organized his goons to counter the protests. That was last year. So what goes around comes around. And just as I've been saying in this forum, Kenyans should not be hoodwinked into fighting politicians' battles. Let the politicians fight their own battles. Let Cleophas Malala, Rigathi, Ruto, and that whole team, let them fight their own political battles. And this again brings me to this knowledge that if you make bad laws for your opponents or your enemies, those bad laws will come to haunt you. If you support impunity, impunity will come to haunt you. As Kenyans, we must also reject impunity. If things are not being done right, it's incumbent upon us to speak out. William Ruto's government should not intimidate Kenyans. It should let Kenyans speak freely and criticize his government without being targeted. That's something also worth noting. I'm also seeing a Rigathi Gachagua who might soon come up with such claims. And we saw a few days ago when some of his allies started hinting to a possibility that his life was in danger. When Oscar Sudi shared a post 2 weeks maximum, some of Rigathi's allies started insinuating that Rigathi's life was in danger. So we should expect such like claims going forward. We'll see the other team trying to say all sorts of things just to beat or to earn some points against Ruto's team. Let me stop it there. If you are watching us but you have not yet subscribed, subscribe, give the video a like. Any person watching us outside Kenya, drop a comment, let us know from which part of the globe you are watching us from. If possible, subscribe, give the video a like. Thank you. God bless you. God bless Kenya.
Kitu ya pili nimetegemea ametegemea tukulgele magio nichi kochesa ne Arab Ruto iwezekani wale Rigathi Gachagua mimi mwenyewe nitakupeleka nyumbani. I am putting you Rigathi Gachagua on notice. You are going to be impeached. I can confirm that to you today, and I shall be in charge of that impeachment myself. So and for those who have not understood, you know, they here at home they call me Cheba Muren, Iron Lady. So I'm telling them, don't worry, no one can touch Ruto when I am there. So tonight, sasa amecho ungane mkono amu iwezekani you disrespect elifanyikana. Rigathi Gachagua, you have been very disrespectful of the president. You have committed gross insubordination. You have violated the National Cohesion Act because you are busy preaching tribal politics. You have committed enough offenses, and now we have said enough is enough. We will send you home, or you resign by yourself. If you don't want to be you don't respect your president, then go home, resign. We don't need you. So asanteni sana, Mungu awabariki. Sitarudi Nandi County kwa nisi.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Boss kwa hayo maneno. Sasa tumefika ile inaitwa kile